Jeremy, Taché, we meet again. How old are you?
I'm 28, Pablo.
Just even the voice is already giving me PTSD. So you're 28 years old. You're very young. You forced me to reckon with my mortality. And you're bringing me back into the time machine because the last time I saw you, Jeremy, or at least the time that I cannot forget, it was April. The Miami Heat were playing the Milwaukee Bucks in the NBA playoffs. And I was hosting, sitting in Dan's chair, trying to direct a conversation among you Miami Heat propagandists. And in that conversation, suddenly, I heard you say this.
Let's go! Let's go! The reason that I was saying it to begin with is because I was sort of following what athletes have been saying in moments like that.
Forgive me, what athlete were you channeling there specifically?
I think it would be unfair to name any specific athletes in this scenario. I don't want to throw them under the bus.
Well, there are lots of suspects. So that's the thing about this story is that you start to just peel the first layer back and you're like, this is omnipresent.
Well, there are a ton of options, right? Like you have Nick Foles in the 2018 Super Bowl for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Let's go! Let's go!
You have LeBron James who will say it before games.
Yes, I've heard Formula One drivers say it after their races.
Let's go! Let's go! Yes!
Which means that both pregame and postgame, athletes are using this, right? It kind of means everything. It's kind of like at this point. It's a word that gets deployed to mean all sorts of things. Like it's a call to action as well as a celebration of the action you already had successfully completed.
Yeah, it's shalom, essentially. No, it's one of those words where I don't know. I guess the part with let's go that's confusing to me is that I don't really remember it existing growing up. And, you know, you pointed out I'm super freaking young. So it's not like there's been that much time for all of these phrases to evolve.
And for us elder millennials, Jeremy, we are similarly confused. All we sort of know now is that the word cloud of American life, right, in 3,000 point font is let's go. How did we get here? Like, how does human speech in this way go viral? Who was the patient zero of this movement?
It's a great question. And yes, I did spend weeks reporting this. I mean, we spoke to other journalists. We spoke to people within sports, people within entertainment. I mean, really, it kind of went across the board. And this goes beyond the standard Jumbotron calls. I don't remember it growing up. And I think that's my first takeaway from going down this rabbit hole on this assignment.
Wait. So you went down the rabbit hole and you didn't find anybody there?
I mean, if you're polling America, the obvious and easy patient zero would be Tom Brady.
Are you ready? Let's go! Let's go, man! Let's go!
When you see that, you're like, oh, right, of course. Of course, every bro in a quarter zip sort of fleece, they're cosplaying as Tom Brady, yes.
Well, and that's the part, right? Tom Brady's supposed to be Mr. Let's Go. You know, he's been using this sort of elongated version of Let's Go, the one that we're talking about, the scream, the guttural version of it, since at least 2015 at the Patriots victory parade.
Let's go!
I saw a viral clip from like a conference, I think. This was last month. A viral clip from a conference where Brady sort of took us inside the actor's studio on this.
You've got to create a lot of different emotion to heighten your sense of awareness and focus. Like for me, anger was good. Anger was good because it was motivating. The more I could create an enemy, the more I wanted to go out and kill those guys. Now, I knew I wasn't going to kill them physically, but man, if I could just, what did they say? You know, and what did they look like? Did they disrespect me at all? You know, and did that say something? Like, those are little things that can get me right in the emotional frame of mind that when I ran on the field and I said, let's fucking go. It was really, let's go kick some ass. That's what we were doing.
That is the sound of people applauding a sociopath. I mean, that's what that sounds like.
He literally was like, let me figure out what it's like to channel a serial killer. I'm not going to do it, but I want to get it.
That's right. So who inspired Tom Brady to say this then? Like in your investigation, is everyone just like ceding intellectual property rights to that dude?
No, absolutely not. Like that's not going to happen. And we'll get to the guy that, really thinks he may very well be behind it. But I can tell you that it's not Taylor Swift.
What's the standard here that we're using to determine who Mr. Let's Go or Mrs. Let's Go would be?
So to me, standard number one was pretty simple. Let's Go had to be organic. It couldn't feel forced. It couldn't feel performative.
Right.
It's got to come from that deep place inside of you, that guttural place that this is not something that I have planned. So like listening back to some of your previous episodes of Pablo Torre finds out, Russell Wilson started all of a sudden making his catchphrase, let's go, because he heard that Taylor Swift has been saying it. Well, that wouldn't necessarily apply.
Right. So Russ saying a lot, go Hawks in Seattle, that doesn't apply either because, again, the letter of the law there, not exactly the same thing as let's go.
Right, because for standard number two, the letter of the law wasn't enough, right? We want to talk about the sort of spirit of the rule as we continuously discuss how this is sort of an emotional thing. I think the spirit of the law matters here. And so the phrase let's go, it's really been around forever, but its usage, its spirit, that's distinct. You need at least 7 O's in it.
Right. So again, not like this.
Let's go!
But like even more O's, even more chutzpah, I believe. So what's the lineage here? Like where does this origin story actually begin?
Even the great all-knowing Wikipedia struggled to get all of the details right here. For example, Wikipedia claimed that there was a resurgence of a 70-year-old chant to a Let's Go, Go, Go White Sox that led to the 2005 White Sox playoff run.
Let's go, 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 White Sox. We're with you all the way. You're always in there fighting and
But 2005 absolutely would predate all of the internet stuff we're describing right now.
Yeah, and that's part of why this story is wrong, because we reached out to catcher AJ Przinsky, who was on that team, a classic name in Major League Baseball.
Of course.
And he told us via DM that song in 2005 was not really as much of a part of the White Sox World Series run as Don't Stop Believin' by Journey. When you talk about the real origin story of this phrase, it goes all the way back to the late 1500s. It turns out that Shakespeare had a line in A Comedy of Errors. Now let's go hand in hand, not one before another.
Yeah, listening to that now, it does occur to me that you are a little more Shakespeare than Tom Brady, Jeremy.
Yeah, more Shakespeare than Tom Brady, I think, is how anyone who knew me in high school also probably would have described me. But a writer for Slate who we spoke to, Luke Winkie, he's also obsessed with this. He traced that Shakespeare line drew straight from there all the way to 1942. And that's when there was a recruitment poster for the U.S. Navy that read, "Fight, let's go, join the Navy."
Yeah, now we're getting, I think, significantly more macho in the evolution of the phrase.
Yeah, well, the writer said the same thing, and he said that the militarization of this rally cry kind of gave it this communal masculinity in a sense.
And so this phrase, just to recap here, goes from Shakespeare to the U.S. Navy, out to like locker rooms, to stadiums, to the sidelines, to where?
Jukeboxes across America in the 1960s. Pablo, do you remember this clap?
Of course.
I found out where it comes from. It's 1962's Let's Go, parentheses Pony by the Routers. And then in 1986, the New York Mets had a song.
do it.
Now, this is the video for Let's Go Mets. This is essentially a hype video for the New York Mets in the middle of their season in 1986, a season that was going incredibly well, obviously led to them winning the World Series. And halfway through, they had this unbelievable idea to create a music video around a song called Let's Go Mets that had everyone chanting, "Let's go."
So this thing, as someone who grew up, was born in the city in New York City in 1985. This thing, when I watch it now for the podcast audience, what you're missing on our YouTube channel is essentially like a giant singing pile of cocaine.
Even watching it, behind the scenes video on the VHS that we were able to find here, which that was a journey in itself. The energy behind it is crazy because you have, players juggling baseballs for the camera, blowing bubbles, and there's all sorts of extra shots that they had to get.
Who the are the people behind this?
So we spoke to the ad man who commissioned the video, as well as the jingle writer who made the song, and he also directed the video. And what they told us was a ton of different information about what was going on behind the scenes here. First and foremost, the ad agency that was working with the Mets initially, they reached out to Billy Joel, to Elton John, to Stevie Wonder, and ultimately they settled for someone who they had already worked with on previous jingles. So the ad man gives one direction to the jingle man. It better be f***ing great.
That's just good coaching.
It is good coaching. It is good coaching. And the jingle guy told us that, and this is a direct quote, "What can people get their head around with 6 beers in them?" And so that's sort of where this simple "let's go, let's go, let's go" starts up. He had no comment.
What were they on, Jeremy? What were the players in the video on?
He had no comment about whether or not the Mets, who were notorious party animals, were particularly on anything during the video shoot, but he said that the energy was up.
After the break, we figure out who deserves the throne that Lil Jon somehow abdicated.